All right, Moon Knight it is. Taking a look here at Moon Knight, and not just Moon Knight, but we're also going to take a look here at Khonshu and Mr. Knight, as they are one and the same. So first off here we have Moon Knight is melee with 16 health and a move of 3, and that goes for all of the identities that you can change into. So for the first one, his ability is, at the start of your turn, move up to 2 spaces. At the end of your turn, change to your next identity, Khonshu. Khonshu, exactly the same, except the ability is Khonshu adds +2 to the value of his attack cards. He does not take damage from effects other than combat damage. At the end of your turn, change to your next identity, Mr. Knight. And then we have Mr. Knight. Exactly the same, except the ability is Mr. Knight adds +1 to all his defense values. At the end of your turn, change to your next identity, Moon Knight. So there is all 3 of those. Taking a look here first at his attack cards, and any of his identities can play any of his cards. A 4-value attack, I am not real, 3 copies. After combat, you may change to your next identity. That's why I always win is a 3-value attack, 3 copies. During combat, you may boost this attack. His defense, we're all in this together. After combat, if you won the combat, draw 1 card, that's a 3-value. Here we got a 1-value versatile. Let your insanity guide you, 2 copies. After combat, discard the top card of your deck, draw cards equal to that card's boost value. And then the classic feint, 2-value versatile, 3 copies, immediately cancel all effects on your opponent's card. A totally sane thing to do, 3 copies, 2-value versatile. You may deal 2 damage to both fighters in the combat. Past and present intermingle is a 2-value versatile and 3 copies. During combat, add the boost value of the top card of your discard pile to this card's value. Fist of Khonshu. After combat, if you won the combat, move the opposing fighter up to 4 spaces, 2 copies and 3-value attack, versatile attack or defense. That's the part I like, is a 3-value versatile, 2 copies. After combat, if you won the combat, you may look at the top 3 cards of the opponent's deck and discard 1 of them. Place the other 2 back in any order. 4-value versatile, good enough for us, 2 copies. After combat, you may draw 2 cards if you do take 2 damage. Madness will keep you alive. It is a scheme, 2 copies, and a 3 boost. The effect is recover 2 health. If you started your turn in a different space, gain 1 action. And then Travelers of the Night is his last scheme, and that is a 3 boost as well, 2 copies. Move your fighter up to 4 spaces. They may move through opposing fighters, gain 1 action. So Moon Knight here has 3 identities and 3 different abilities on each of the identities. Moon Knight is going to be able to move 2 spaces at the beginning of your turn. Now, as Moon Knight, you can get to the opponent easier and attack them. So you move into, attack them, and then use your second action to move away, right? Then you're kind of set to set up for Khonshu, and you just sit there as Khonshu and be menacing. So that's as Moon Knight. And then you would switch over at the end of your turn to Khonshu. And what does Khonshu do? As Khonshu, you have a +2 on the value of your attacks, which is pretty insane, right? +2 is pretty good. And as we look through the cards, you'll be able to see, as we go through his deck, all the different cases where he'll be able to get +2 on some of these cards and how helpful that can just be. Now, the cool part about this ability, though, is that he does not take damage from effects other than combat damage. So, on top of the +2 attack, on top of that, you only take damage from combat. So this includes fatigue damage, it includes effect damage and ability damage, so like Medusa, Dracula, and things like ping damage from Spear Throw or something like that from Achilles' deck. You ignore that stuff. And then if you're Khonshu and it's your turn, you have to draw and you've been decked out, well, you don't take the damage. So that is pretty incredible as well. So then you transform right there into Khonshu. And after Khonshu, you transform into Mr. Knight. So as Mr. Knight, you're getting +1 to all his defense values. Mr. Knight is the most basic, but you can use this as like a preparation phase. At least that's kind of like how I like to use it. During the game of Unmatched in general, there's kind of a time in the middle of the game, sometimes twice, where players kind of back off, prepare their hands again. And so during that time, I recommend being Mr. Knight because you don't want to waste, the +2 in that attack if you can help it. And so this is nice because if they're going to come in at you at all, you still have the +1. It's also nice to be Mr. Knight directly after Khonshu as well, because after you've done the attack, or maybe you attack twice, you're sitting right next to the opponent. And if you're sitting right next to the opponent, well, then you will have at least a +1 on your defenses. Now make sure you have cards in your hand after you are Khonshu to then deal with that and defend, because you're not getting +1 just automatically. You have to play a card to get that +1. So Moon Knight to Khonshu to Mr. Knight in that order, and that's how you'll be cycling throughout the entire game. Checking out his attacks. First off, we have I'm Not Real. You may change to your next identity, it says. This is a possible 6 if you're Khonshu, right? And it's best to use with Khonshu and optionally change so that you can skip to Mr. Knight. This also works as a surprise into Khonshu, coming from Moon Knight, though. So you'd be Moon Knight, you'd play this, and bam, you are now Khonshu, and then you have +2, and you play something else. You can play another one of these, or you can play some boosts and get some higher attacks in there. And we'll see some of those right now. So we have That's Why I Always Win. You may boost this attack. This is a possible 8 attack if you're Khonshu, or, which is not bad either, a 5 with your other identities. And we're going to see another card that you probably want to use to boost with this in a bit. Then his defense, we're all in this together. There are 3 copies of this, and if you won the combat, you draw 1 card. Okay, this is just a basic card, draw power. That's nice. 3 is all right, and it's just an all right card. Not much you can really say about that. And then here's the card I was talking about that you might want to boost with. Because this card here, Let Your Insanity Guide You, is just terrible. This card is not useful. It's trash. Maybe not maybe. It's if you have it in your hand and you have this, you definitely want to use this and then use the Let Your Insanity Guide You as a boost, because discarding the top card of your deck and drawing cards is only fatiguing you, and you're discarding it too. And you could discard something that you might really need, and you don't want to do that. So don't use this card foolishly, and probably how they intended you to use it in play and for the effect. But you don't want that. Feint. It's a basic feint, right? But in this deck, you got to keep remembering with these cards, this is a 3 if you're Mr. Knight and a 4 if you're Khonshu. And if you play this as Khonshu, you can do some pretty cool things with it. So if you're Khonshu, you cancel. They try to do like, some type of skirmish or move away effect. They can't move away because you've canceled the effect. And then you can hit them big. And maybe they weren't prepared for that. Then we have a totally same thing to do. As Khonshu, you ignore, right? So you have the 2 damage that you're both going to take, both fighters in the combat. But if you're Khonshu, remember, with your ability, you are not taking the damage. So obviously you want to play this as Khonshu. And it doesn't matter. You can play it on attack or defense, whatever you need in whatever moment and whatever the game state is, that's when you need to play that card. It's kind of hard to say. You have to, obviously it's a versatile card, and it's in the name, it is versatile in this regard. Some versatile cards you only want to play for attack or defense. This one, it works in both cases, just depends. Now we have past and present intermingle. For this card, as you add the boost value of the top card of your discard pile, right, to this card's value, you need to play cards with purpose. That's what I'd say for this card. Play cards with purpose. Don't just throw stuff out. Plan. If you have a hand of cards, don't just have this on top and only get 3 when you very well could have got more than that. This also works with Travelers of the Night. So you play Travelers, you gain an action, and we'll get to Travelers in a minute, but then it's a 3 boost on top, and now you know this is going to be a 5. Or possibly, with Khonshu, more than that. So keep that in mind. This is a pretty good card, but if you're not paying attention, you could play it wrong. Okay, Fist of Khonshu. This is pretty much just about movement. A 3 is okay. 4 would be better as Mr. Knight, and then you're able to move the opposing fighter. It does have the condition if you won the combat now. Okay, we have That's the Part I Like. That's the part I like. This card is ridiculously cool and ridiculously good. It's a discard, and it's deck knowledge slash manipulation. So if you win the combat, which as if you're using this card, you need to play it as Conchu on attack or Mr. Knight on defense so that you can help guarantee, it's not a guarantee, but you can help guarantee that you get this effect off, because you definitely want this effect. There's 2 copies in the deck, so you're able to do that twice. I mean, you could get rid of some really key cards in the opponent's deck that they might be looking for. And of course, that's going to deck them out faster. Then we have good enough for us. A 4 value is, that's perfect, right? 4 value, that's above average, and it's versatile. And on top of that, you may draw 2 cards, which is also nice. So you can decide, do I need hand advantage? Do I need more cards? Am I going to deck myself out? Those are questions you should be asking yourself when you're playing cards like this with you may. Don't just draw because it says, oh, I can draw, and more cards sounds better. Well, it's not always better, as we know. And then if you do, you take 2 damage. Well, if you are a Conchu, you are not taking that 2 damage. So keep that in mind. You might want to play that with Conchu. All right. Madness will keep you alive. And keep in mind that this is a 3 boost. And you just keep in mind the 3 boosts, right? Because they're your highest boost for the possible That's Why I Always Win card. So just keep like little things like that in mind. Madness will keep you alive, though, is a recover 2 health. This is plus 4 health on top of the 16 that you already have with your fighter with Moon Knight. And so what's interesting about this card, though, is you decide if you want to use this for a pass. So you only gain the action if you started your turn in a different space. Okay? So you decide and make that decision based on the game state and the deck count of your opponent's deck and your own deck, and the pressure that you might want to keep up. Then Travelers of the Night, the last card in the scheme that gets him around and gets him over. It's a key card, and it gets him over sidekicks potentially. Gets through sidekicks and gets you to whoever you're targeting for an attack that turn. And it can be a runaway type of thing too, but you do gain an action, so it's not really useful in that. It's more useful for getting in, right? So you want to move the 4 spaces and go through opposing fighters. If they're careful with positioning, it's going to be hard to get this in. Maybe you just want to attack the sidekicks and stuff first, get them out of the way, but this can get over them. You do gain the action, and if you play this with Conchu, you already know what's going to happen. You're going to be able to do a double attack, and it's going to be +2 because they're going to be wary of you being Conchu and trying not to go around you when you're Conchu so that they don't get double attacked with a +2. The Travelers of the Night is essential for that. So as Moon Knight, Conchu, and Mr. Knight, you have a lot of options. You have a lot of cards, and you're a pretty strong character. He's pretty strong. And you do have this linear path that you must follow from Moon Knight to Conchu to Mr. Knight and repeat, right? But if you're playing smart, you can plan ahead, and you do. You need to plan out your next few turns and think, okay, in 2 turns I'm going to be Conchu, so I can plan out for that. Okay, I don't have the cards yet for it. Maybe I need cards, whatever it may be, right? So play into each strength that each of your identities have. Each of these identities here has their own strength and when to use it and when not to. So you have the card that changes to your next identity here. Well, be smart, be wise when you use that. And it's going to depend on your matchup, the game state, and what character you're playing against. Normally, you can put out enough damage to win, but if not, you have your 2 passes here, potentially, and you're also making them draw with or discarding from their deck, which is less draw for them. So you have a few things that you can do, and on top of that, we can't forget that Conchu does not take the damage when he goes to draw from his deck, so that helps him in fatigue as well. So you're not in the lurch if you are in a fatigue battle here. They don't want to fatigue you, and if they're going to aggress you, you can play that game as well and be aggressive and switch between your different fighters. And that will all depend on, like I said, the game state and the opponent that you're playing against and the character that they are. And one last thing I'd like to say is don't feel so held down by, this is the character that I am this turn, this is what I need to do, I need to be defensive. Okay, you can still throw out attacks as Mr. Knight and so on, right? So you don't always need to attack as Concho, I think it's ideally good that you would, but you could run away. And as Mr. Knight, you could attack. Okay, don't feel so set on what it looks like your abilities are making you do, because they are not forcing you to do anything. Hope that helps you understand Moon Knight.